This Christian's about to get sketchy. In my sketchbook, it is better to light a candle than to curse the darkness. Starting with the grittiness of a broken world and exploring through comic books the gateway to grace that is Jesus Christ. My name is John Bursell. I am a Christian artist living and raising my son in Montana. I've worked in Denver, Minneapolis, and now in Libby, trying to impact my customers with positive interactions. I've mopped floors and managed stores and everything in between, creating everything from paintings, poetry, photography, graphic design, and culinary dishes. I've also taught many art classes. I love Jesus, Mountain Dew, and loud music. Currently, I'm funneling all of my energy into my book series, My Walk. Make sure to smash the subscribe and like buttons. For links to all my social media sites and free My Walk comic book downloads, go to my blog at 3otters.blogspot.com. Just had some quick thoughts on Christian comics and Christian entertainment, what's going on in the industry, and I just wanted to lay down some ideas that are just running through my head right now about writing Christian comics and what's going on in Christian entertainment. It's improving. There's things that are getting better. PureFlix has some great shows on there. There are some great Christian comics coming out lately. So things are getting better. It's still behind the times on the entertainment industry. This juggernaut of Hollywood and DC, Marvel, the music industry with all of their stuff. They're way ahead of what Christian entertainment is doing. I think what's going on with that is there's this key factor of entertainment. A lot of times Christian creators, artists that are creating Christian works don't think about the entertainment aspect of it, as far as who's your target market. You can target either the saved, or you can target the people that don't know Christ and aren't saved. And so with your art, if it's Christian comics, writing stories, who are you speaking to? Are you speaking to Christians and writing Christian content that almost feels like a Sunday sermon you'd hear in church? This is something that they would preach. So are you preaching in your book so that Christians will receive that message and get into it like it's a Bible study for them or something to go deeper with their beliefs? Or are you trying to entertain? And entertaining and going after the unsaved, it seems like a way to hook people. J.R. Tolkien did it. A lot of these other writers, that they're creating like a fantasy piece or something that symbolizes Christianity in some way. Whereas they're not just coming right out with a message and bombarding you with what feels like propaganda and trying to convert you to something. They're actually entertaining you with a story where you start to feel for the characters and you feel like they're in danger and you hope they make it to their task and they finish their, there's this big thing they got to do. So to create entertainment, I feel as a Christian creator, that's the best way is to entertain your audience, even if you're going for like a Christian market too. If you're targeting Christians, it's still really good to focus on the entertainment. And for Christians, it's so hard to wrap our minds around this because we're so Christ focused that we want to get that message out. And sometimes in Christian art, we bore our audience when they're not believers. We come across as we're throwing propaganda and trying to convert. And people, if somebody Hindu comes up to me with all this stuff, I don't want to be converted. I don't want to hear that message and their ways, and no disrespect towards any other religion. But as Christians, we can't go out to people like that. And so to entertain them with a story and then what's in your soul as a writer or as an artist that is Christ-centered and God-focused should come out into the art. And so that way you're entertaining people, you hook them into the entertainment part, but you do have the message in there. And so I think that's a better way to approach it. Otherwise it feels like you're just presenting a Bible study. And that's great for people who are already involved in a church and into a Christ-like life, and they're saved and they've accepted Jesus, and they want to study and learn deeper. But for the rest of the world, I think the best approach for your art is to entertain. Focus on the entertainment, get your plot, everything down, so make entertainment your priority, and then your message should come out. Thanks for watching. Another quick point I want to add to thoughts I gave on the previous video about Christian art, Christian comics, and the music industry for Christian music. Just something I want to include in my book that I'm putting together. So these are mental notes. As a Christian artist, we should strive to be better with our craft. I've noticed a lot of content that I've been looking at on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. What's amazing is like the whole manga thing that's popular in a lot of the Asian countries, with these comic books that they're producing rapidly with variety of stories, and they're so popular. The sales are through the roof. Whereas in America, our comic books are pretty much making movies to make money instead of actually moving the books themselves. I think, just an opinion, I think the Asian culture with their work, they're excelling at their craft. They are working so hard that it shows in the product. The downside to it is I've seen a couple of documentaries on some manga artists who practically have an apartment for their family, then they have an apartment somewhere else where they create the content for their comics. They leave their families for weeks at a time. So they are so focused on their art that they're forgetting everything else in the world that's important. I don't feel like we need to go to that extreme, but as an example of their craft and how excellent they're doing with it, I think especially American Christians who are creating content for comic books or whatever else that's creative, I think we can do better. We have it in us to do better. If we are representing Christ as Christians, wouldn't you think in our craft and in our art and our creativity that we would want to push it, not to the point of neglecting the church or our kids or our wife or our families or work? If we have to work 40 hours a week, sometimes we have to do those things. We can't sacrifice on the level that I just discussed of others that are excelling, but we need to push ourselves to be better, to do better, to work on our craft constantly, to get more disciplined. If we're going to represent Christ, we're going to do something to glorify God through our art and our craft, we should really set time aside when we can to practice, get it down, and start making things that we can put out into the world that's going to make a difference. So just some thoughts on that. I just wanted to get that out I need to put that in my book, so that I've seen a lot of Christian comics, Christian art, that just like the Christian music industry, on my previous video I just spoke on the some of the comments and critiques on the Christian music industry is it feels lazy in some aspects. It's not as good as if they're playing rock or if they're playing metal or if they're playing whatever kind of music. They don't seem to be as good as the people that they're copying, and it almost feels like they're replicas, but they're watered down. The Christian comics community, there are some excellent stuff out there. There's some really high quality, and you can tell that they're working on their craft or they're really pushing it further. But there's also a lot of content out there where it feels like they're trying to be somebody else, or maybe that creator is inspired by something that's like a, a major company that's putting out comics, and they're inspired by that, but they're like the watered down version of it, and they almost appear to be lazy in their craft. And when I say this, I'm saying it with love. I'm saying it with also the understanding that I need to work on my craft. I need to push myself. These are more notes of what I'm seeing in the world and how can we change how Christian content is viewed. We're laughed at. We're kind of the cheesy afterthought of what's going on in the world. And it's almost like the guy at the party that, hey man, take a drink. You want a drink? And it's like, well, no, I'm not. And it's the guy that gets made fun of, that's off in the corner, that's not included in the cool stuff that's going on. And that's what Christian comics feels like. And so we as creators can change that. We can create content and stories. We can create amazing worlds and touch hearts and change lives through our craft, through our art, if we push ourselves harder without neglecting, first off, God, and then our families, our church. We need to prioritize, but whenever we get the opportunity, when the kids are in bed, the wife is okay, the job is over for the day, and we're up at night, and we got a couple hours before bed, you can scroll through Facebook for a couple hours, you can put Netflix on, or you could get to your drafting board and start drawing. And it's only going to shine the light of Christ even more if we work on our craft, so we can make a difference in the world.